Hey everyone, it's Dan again. Just gonna go into part two of my Appium series. If you guys haven't seen my first video, I invite you to check that out. It's where we go over the installation of Appium from a completely factory Mac, so to speak, or a factory reset Mac. If you hit the Command R while restarting or rebooting and wiping the hard drive and loading the latest version of Mac OS. Um, that video there will get you started on how to install Appium and get the inspector running. This video will go over the installation of Eclipse TestNG and integrating Eclipse, Selenium, TestNG, and Appium to perform automated testing against any kind of iOS device. In this case, I'm going to be using a iPad, my personal iPad, to do this demonstration, but it should work on pretty much any iOS device that you happen to have. So we'll go ahead and get started here. First step is to load Eclipse. Go to the Eclipse website. We're going to go ahead and download the latest version of Eclipse. All right. Let's take a look at my instructions. See what the next steps are. Okay. Alright, let's go ahead and install this DMG file. And this Mac is pretty much I started from where I left off in that first YouTube video where I'm installing Appium. It's been about 3 weeks or so since I uploaded that video, so I did do a full restore earlier today and ran through that same exact tutorial for Appium 1.12.1, and it's still valid. So all those instructions there are still valid for the latest version of Xcode as of this moment, which is 10.2 for iOS 12.2 using macOS 10.14.4. So I'm going to go ahead and accept all these. Continue on with this installation. So currently I just have the Appium loaded, and I did verify that the inspector does launch on my current iPad. So we'll go ahead and launch Eclipse here. Let's see what else we need to do. Pretty much accept all the defaults that pop up during this install. Once you get to this welcome page, go ahead and exit out of that. We're going to go to help and install new software. I did notice that TestNG is no longer in the Eclipse marketplace for some reason, but I did find a workaround. So this should work for you guys as well. We'll copy this URL here, paste it there, hit return. This might take some time. It should return all the TestNG plugins and jar files needed for this tutorial. You saw that was pretty quick, but the first time I did this earlier today when I was prepping for this video, it did take a couple minutes, so don't be alarmed if it takes a while for that TestNG to pop up. Go ahead and accept, install, and restart. Okay. Alright. Wait until Eclipse prompts you to restart. Alright, so now we need to grab our Selenium jar files. So we'll go ahead and load this here while Eclipse is still launching. Head over to the Selenium client and WebDriver bindings. We're going to download the Java jar files. And we'll go ahead and let that sit there. Let's go back. Now we need to download our Appium jar files. So we'll go here. We'll click on Java as well for the client libraries. And then there should only be one option here. Your Java client. Go ahead and click download and click on the jar option. We'll let that finish as well. Alright. Now we gotta download our common lang. So once you hit the Apache website, go ahead and go to this binary section for the common lang and download this tar.gz file. And we'll let that sit there as well. Alright. So now we're going to set up a local directory where we're going to place all these jar files that we just downloaded. So the pathing doesn't really matter as long as you know how to get to them. So in this case, I typically like to go into my users and place them in the same locations as my Eclipse workspace. So I'll create a new folder here, jars, and I will go to my downloads and I'll take everything. I no longer need the Eclipse DMG file, so I'll delete that. And I'll copy all of these guys, place them into that jar folder I created. And then I'll extract everything that needs to be extracted. In this case, just the common lang. Let's go ahead and delete the tar file there. Alright, looks good. So, where are we now? Alright, so let's go back to Eclipse. We're going to create a new Java project. So here in Eclipse, let's exit this. Go to File, New Java Project. We're going to call this Appium Demo Project. And we'll hit Next. Uncheck this create module info.java file and then hit finish. Let's expand this here. Okay, so there you go. And let's create a new class while we're in here. So, new class, we'll call this our demo class. Hit finish. Alright. There we are. Let's go ahead and okay, now we're gonna add our external jar files. So here in Eclipse, we'll right click on the Appium on our project, go into our build path, configure build path, and we're gonna go here to the libraries tab, class path, and add external jars. Now we have to navigate to the location that you place those jar files to. In this case, for me, it'd be my name, Eclipse workspace jars, and let's add this first one here. And we kind of have to navigate through a few different folders to add all of them. So we'll start from the top. So we've already added the jar file there. We'll add these 4. And I don't believe there's any jar files there, so we'll go back to jars, Selenium jars, add these 2 here, and I think there are some, the last set is in this folder here, so let's add these guys. Alright, so that should be everything. We'll hit apply and close. Okay. Alright. Now we get to the fun stuff. Let's do our imports. Let me delete these the lettering there. Alright, so in this class, let's go ahead and paste our imports there. Any type of errors, just highlight over it. In this case, we need to add the TestNG library. That should resolve all those errors. Now we need to create our TestNG structure. So this is a sample code I wrote just for this demonstration. So we'll paste that within our class here. All right, so don't be alarmed if you see a bunch of errors. It's fine. You'll just have to resolve them one by one. So if you hover over each of these errors, you should be able to import the libraries that it requires. So in this case, we're going to import that, import our desired capabilities, import the capability types, URL, and looks like that resolves everything. All right, so this might look familiar for TestNG. You're gonna have your before class, your test, and then your after class. And typically in your before class, this is where we define our capabilities or connection to Appium and iOS itself. So if you notice here, I've set a couple capabilities similar to what you would set in my first tutorial for your iOS, for your Appium inspector to launch. So I kind of demonstrate that here. If we start our server, if you notice here, I already saved the capability sets for my personal device, but here you pretty much have the same values. Have the UDID, bundle ID, automation name, platform version, and device name. These are all required, so I pretty much set those same capabilities here. Platform name, platform version, device name, automation name, UDID. The only one that's different is here in Eclipse, you're going to have a .app, but in the Appium inspector, you're going to use you could use app as well, but typically you'll use the bundle ID of the app you're trying to interact with. So in this case, I'm just using the built-in Safari app within iOS. So that's what I have set here. All right, so once we do that, what we want to do is make sure that this runs. So now that I have no errors, I'm going to try to run, and this is important as well. Make sure you run as a TestNG test. So if I do that, I should see some interaction or some logs on my Appium. Oh, my iPad is asleep, so that's kind of what's going on there. So make sure your iPad is not asleep. I typically set it to never sleep, but in this case, I didn't do that yet. So we'll just go ahead and retry this. It seems to have failed. So we'll try running this now. Again, obviously if your iPad was not asleep, this should have ran on that first try there, but it looks like it's working now. You should see Safari launch on whatever device you're working on. I can't demonstrate it now, but it seems to have passed. So here you see your test runs. You had one test run with 0 failures. Let's take a look and make sure everything ran as expected. So here I have this print line, capabilities have been sent. It should run that first, and then it should run our test, just starting our test run and then ending our test run. So if you see here, all my logs have have shown in the console, so I know it ran everything. So in this case, this was a successful run, and yeah, that should be everything you need just to get going here. Obviously, I'll probably upload another video with some basic demonstrations on how to use the inspector and how to interact with various objects in iOS, tapping, grabbing text from text boxes or labels, things like that. Um, I'll go over that another time, but if you're just looking for, if you're just looking just to set up Appium, Eclipse TestNG, this should be everything you need to go ahead and get started and get the ball rolling on automation. So I hope that helps you out. Like I said, this is part two. So if you're seeing this for the first time, please jump over to my channel and watch the first video where I set up Appium from kind of a basic Mac that you can pick up at anywhere at the Mac store or whatnot. And then this will be part two of that. And then right after this, you pretty much have everything you need to get going automating locally. And yeah, appreciate your time.